October 14th, 2008. The market is collapsing. Inside a bland, windowless room in suburban New Jersey, a single decision is being finalized that will change how you buy groceries forever. The proposal on the table is simple. Exploit the primal wiring of the human brain, bypass all logic, and implant a desire that doesn't actually exist. How could a brief flicker of color on a shelf be more powerful than a signed contract? The shocking truth is that for decades, we haven't been choosing what we buy, we've been accepting what is subtly suggested. It began not with a flashy television campaign, but with a forgotten laboratory and a collection of blinking lights. The year was 1957, and Dr. James Vickery, a man obsessed with the unseen mechanics of persuasion, claimed he had cracked the code. He installed a device in a movie theater in Fort Lee, New Jersey, flashing the words, "Drink Coca-Cola and eat popcorn" across the screen faster than the eye could consciously register, a mere 1/3000th of a second. When the experiment concluded, sales of popcorn reportedly skyrocketed by 57% and Coke by 18%. A seismic shift in understanding occurred that night. You could manipulate desire without the target ever knowing they were being manipulated. The term they coined was subliminal messaging. Then Vickery admitted it was a lie, a complete fabrication, but by then the genie was out of the bottle. The concept, whether true or not, had infected the collective subconscious. The regulators panicked. The Federal Communications Commission immediately banned the practice on broadcast television. It was too dangerous, too intrusive. But bans only force innovation into the shadows. Where couldn't they monitor the signal? Not on the airwaves, but in the physical space where decisions were actually made. The store aisle. The architects of modern retail didn't need flashing frames anymore. They understood that the true battleground was cognitive load. Think of the grocery store, a labyrinth designed to induce minor stress. You enter needing milk and bread, but leave with 6 impulse buys and a feeling of vague exhaustion. That exhaustion isn't accidental, it's engineered. Every decision you make drains a finite resource called ego depletion. By the time you reach the sugary cereals or the premium coffee, your prefrontal cortex, the logical decision maker, is running on fumes. Consider the shelf arrangement itself. It's a silent, three-dimensional argument. The eye naturally drifts to the center line, the bullseye zone. Products placed there are statistically guaranteed higher sales, regardless of price. But the real artistry lies in the periphery. Look at the end caps, those displays at the end of the aisles. They aren't placed there because they sell well. They are placed there to sell well. They break the visual pattern, snagging your attention like a hook in water, delivering a brief, powerful emotional association, a flash of green for natural, a deep crimson for premium indulgence, all before you've mentally cataloged the price tag. It's a visual stutter that forces an emotional response first. Then there is the soundscape. Walk into a high-end electronics store. What do you hear? Silence, punctuated by carefully curated slow-tempo jazz or ambient electronic wash. Slow music encourages slow browsing, and slow browsing correlates directly with higher spending. Contrast that with the chaotic, upbeat pop blasting in a discount superstore. That rapid tempo forces a quicker shopping trip, encouraging you to grab what you need and leave, prioritizing speed over deliberation. These are auditory cues, invisible conductors directing the flow of your wallet. But the ultimate evolution of the subliminal cell moves beyond simple placement and sound. It targets the very concept of scarcity and belonging. Imagine a product marketed not by what it is, but by who isn't allowed to have it. This is the psychological trap of exclusivity marketing. The limited edition drop. The pre-order window closing in 3 hours. This manufactured deadline leverages your inherent fear of missing out. A powerful evolutionary trigger that screams, if everyone else is getting this and you don't, you are falling behind the tribe. The product itself often becomes secondary to the act of acquiring the access pass. The value isn't in the item, it's in the proof of entry. We turn now to the architecture of persuasion in the digital realm, where the barriers of physical space dissolve and tracking becomes absolute. Every click, every pause, every scroll speed is logged, creating a personalized behavioral profile more accurate than any lie you might tell a focus group. Think about the endless scroll on social media feeds. Why is it designed that way? Because if you have to actively click next page, you are forced into a moment of conscious decision. If the content simply flows, you enter a state of passive absorption. Your brain processes the information stream as continuous, blurring the line between entertaining content and the advertisements interspersed within it. The content becomes the advertisement, and the advertisement becomes the content. The distinction vanishes. Consider the use of color in digital interfaces. On a major e-commerce platform, the primary Buy Now button is rarely blue or green colors associated with trust or nature. It's frequently a specific shade of orange or red, colors that stimulate urgency and excitement. Simultaneously, the cancel order or continue shopping links are often deliberately muted, rendered in pale gray or a low-contrast font. You are visually funneled down the path of immediate purchase, while the alternative action requires active, conscious effort to locate and select. This is cognitive friction applied as a barrier. The deep dive into this world reveals an entire industry dedicated to exploiting the small, irrational tics in our programming. One of the most pervasive, yet subtle, tactics involves anchoring. When you see a price tag that reads $199.90 instead of $200, you aren't consciously thinking, that's only 1 cent less. Your brain anchors on the leftmost digit, the 1. It registers as an entirely different price bracket, a lower tier of investment, even though the difference is mathematically negligible. This anchoring effect is used relentlessly in contract negotiations, loan offers, and even the ordering of menu items. We return now to that sterile room in 2008. The executives weren't just talking about soda and popcorn anymore. They were discussing the shelf life of truth in a world saturated with manufactured scarcity and engineered fatigue. The breakthrough they achieved wasn't a new technology, it was the perfect understanding of the timing of the suggestion. They realized that the most vulnerable moment isn't when you are overloaded, but when you are momentarily distracted by something positive. A product positioned immediately after a genuinely funny video clip or a particularly heartwarming piece of news absorbs the positive, effective state of the preceding stimulus. You associate the good feeling with the new product without analyzing the product itself. It's emotional transference, executed with surgical precision. The ultimate goal isn't to trick you into buying one thing today. It's to train your decision-making process to rely on shortcuts, the warm color, the familiar logo placement, the sense of urgency, so that you default to the easiest, most heavily suggested option every single time. They are not selling toothpaste. They are selling the habit of reaching for the tube with the specific blue stripe located exactly 40 inches from the floor. The evidence mounts. The subtle warping of perception, the manipulation of cognitive load, the exploitation of fear of missing out. We live in a constant state of suggestion, where our perceived autonomy is an illusion maintained by the careful staging of stimuli. The only way to fight back is to recognize the stagehands, to notice the quiet anxiety when the limited time offer clock starts ticking down, to question why the exit sign is colored exactly the same hue as the premium brand logo. Because the greatest scam isn't the one they flash on the screen, but the one they embed into the very fabric of your environment, whispering, "Choose this one," while your conscious mind is busy looking somewhere else. The subliminal cell continues, and the only thing standing between you and the next impulse purchase is the moment you decide to look past the gloss and see the underlying mechanism at work.